These are a few of the personal gifts I made for family and friends this Christmas. This piece started out as a 3/8 inch diameter copper rod, heated to red hot, and then hammered out on the anvil. I picked up this piece of copper rod at the metal recyclers about 10 years ago. Didn't have the slightest idea what I would use it for, but now I'm glad that I got it. I plan to be doing more of this type of work. I prefer drilling a hole for a cord rather than using jump rings. I've always liked the spiral design. This is made from 8-gauge copper wire, the same wire that I use for the magic wands. Now, this wasn't particularly hard to do, but if I was going to do many of these, I'd come up with a fixture which would make it much easier. This is the same idea, except I domed this with the dapping tool and then brazed over with the brazing rod. Again, this is made with 8-gauge copper wire. For the 7 pieces that I'm showing here, I doubt if the total cost for all 7 was even $5, because the copper is scrap copper that I bought at the metal recycler. For the person that I was making this for, I thought it might be better if it was a bit smaller. What I particularly like about this one is the oval opening. Being that it is oval and off-center gives it just a bit more interest. This piece is once again made with 8-gauge copper wire. I annealed a length of wire and then hammered it out on the anvil, going from round to flat. Now, this took a number of attempts before I got something that I really liked. Not particularly hard to do, but it just took some time through trial and error to come up with the design that you see here. This piece was coming along, although I wasn't sure how it was going to work out in the end. To add one more touch to it, I decided that I would use the dapping tool and dome it. Unfortunately, I didn't anneal it before using the dapping tool, and the copper fractured on the edge. It really does show the importance of annealing and how you cannot anneal too often. I wanted to do a belt buckle. The back of this piece is 10-gauge hot rolled steel. This particular piece of steel was rusted, so I ground it down to base metal and then peened it on the anvil with a ball peen hammer. Hammered out the copper shape from a piece of 3/8 inch diameter copper rod, which was mentioned earlier. And since the metal was ground down to bare metal, I used the torch to flame color the steel. Drilled a hole through the back, and then drilled a hole in the forged copper, which I threaded with a tap and die set. To work through this was kind of fun and interesting, so I decided to make a smaller belt buckle. Again, the back is 10-gauge hot rolled steel, and once again it was rusted, so I ground it down to base metal. For this one, I didn't do any peening. Used the torch again to blue or flame color the back. Cut out a small square of copper and did some texturing, like I have shown in the copper texturing videos.